Alright, check this thing out. This is a 2001 RM125. Thing is super clean. Looks like it has a bunch of new parts, pro taper bars, new seat cover. Looks like newer plastics as well. New radiator. Let's check this out. Yeah, it's a brand new radiator on there. Looks like newer tires. Definitely newer plastics, like I said before. Grips are new, pro taper grips. Looks like the frame was cleaned, everything was cleaned on it. Looks really nice. Got side plastics, it looks like new graphics on there as well. It's got the pipe with it. A Bill's pipe, that's a nice one. And then you can see it looks like the engine was really clean, but it's all disassembled. And it also has the FMF silencer on the back, the shorty. So overall, a very clean bike. So the story with this thing is a subscriber messaged me on Instagram and said he had this bike that he could not get to shift out of second gear. So he said it goes into second but doesn't shift out and doesn't shift through the rest of the gears. I think he said second's the only one that works. So he said he tore into this thing. He said it was pretty rough on the inside, but he didn't see anything that was detrimental to the shifting. He said he put it back together, had the bike looking mint, and then he just couldn't shift it. He said it started out perfectly, but he just couldn't shift. You can see it's got a new piston, and then the cylinder looks really clean and nice, and the power valves are in there, and everything looks great. So if we can get this thing to shift correctly, this thing will be a really nice bike. So today's goal is to tear apart the engine here and see what we can find that's wrong with this thing. You can see the engine cases look really clean. I wonder if he cleaned them. But everything is like spotless on this thing. Piston he said was new. See if the crank feels good. Crank is perfect. No play up and down. So we'll start digging into this thing and see if we can find the issue. We'll first test her out and see if she does shift before we dig into it. But yeah, I'm wondering what the issue could be. Maybe he was forgetting a part or something. I don't know. But we'll dig into this today, try to figure that out, try to put the bike back together, and hopefully take this thing for a ride. So stay tuned. Should be a fun video. Hopefully we can figure out this problem. Alright, so I was able to find a couple parts for the shifter. I want to be able to test this thing out before we tear it apart to see if it does, in fact, not shift, I guess. So this little guy screws into here. Like that, and then we've got this thing. We've got two springs. One right there, one right there. And these little cylinders compress into the springs. So these little cylinders go in here. It's kind of hard to do. But you push these in here. And one end should be tapered and one end should be flat. So push the flat side in. If I can get it in. So we'll get all this whole thing set up, and then that goes right into here. And then we'll come back and install the shift shaft right here that goes through. And then we've got the shifter, so we can test her out. Alright, we've got the shifting mechanism together here. So you can see that piece is in there, connected to the shift shaft. And then we've got on the other side the shifter. So let's just go through the gears here and see if she shifts. So we'll go into first here if we can. And that doesn't work. It's like grinding in there. You can hear that. That's supposed to be in gear. It's not. It's not shifting. Try shifting down. Nope, and the sprocket just moves freely right here, like it's in neutral. It should be in gear, so it shouldn't spin freely and have this thing spin freely. Both of them should move. It's just like staying in neutral. That's weird. It's shifting through the gears, I can hear. It's not doing anything. Doesn't like to shift down either. Yeah, I think it's stuck. Definitely not shifting. So, alright, let's get the piston off of there and split these cases. Try to figure out what's going on the inside, because obviously it's not shifting at all. Alright, there's a woodruff key in here we gotta get out. This one's kind of stuck in there. There we go. Woodruff key. Clip comes off. That comes off like that. And it looks like everything is off this side that needs to come off. So now we can get these bolts off. Way around. That's just for the chain saver, case saver. Alright. I think that's all of them. Let's see, anything else we're missing? You guys see any other bolts on there? Let's see the other side. Maybe there's one on the other side. I don't see any other bolts anywhere. Alright, the cases are already coming apart, it looks like. Come right off now. Try not to rip the gasket here. Alright, looking over this thing, the gears don't look super bad or anything. We're going to just take this whole thing out and then go through the diagram and make sure everything's correct. So let's start by taking this whole thing off of here. On the shift trim right there, there's a bolt that needs to come out. I believe it's 12 millimeter. Yeah. So a lot of times there can be problems with the shift drum as well. So we'll see. Come on. think there's a Woodruff key holding this thing on. Pretty sure. Let's see, it's kind of flexing now. There we go. So maybe that wasn't lined up with the hole there. I'm not sure. So we'll take this whole thing out. Alright, so looking over the gears, I don't see anything that's detrimental to it not shifting. All the teeth are on there. There's really no big wear marks. It's pretty shiny metal right there though, where the shift forks sit. So I wonder if that was rubbing a little bit. And same with on here. But no teeth are missing or anything. So I don't think it's anything, you know, with the actual components. You can see the shift drum looks nice. If this was getting worn out, you could see like really shiny metal throughout here. So those look good. Shifting star looks good. No worn out marks or anything. And then we've got the shift forks here. So these are a little bit worn. You can see shiny metal right there, right there. And then right there you can see it was wearing off a little bit. But it's really not that bad. This one's getting a little thin right here, you can see. Yeah, that one's getting quite a bit thinner than that one. So look at this one, the tip of that compared to that. It's worn down pretty good. That one looks like it might be worn down a little bit as well. But I don't know if that would cause it not to shift at all. So we're going to look at the diagram and then try to get all these gears lined up perfectly. So maybe when the person put the gears back together, they put it back together wrong, or missed a washer somewhere or something. Then also I see a crack in the case right here where the shift drum sits. You can see it was JB welded from the other side of it. So maybe that's a potential problem as well. But the bearing feels smooth in there and everything. So we'll see. We're going to look at the diagram and try to figure this out. Alright, looking at the diagram right here. So far, this part of the transmission checks out. That was perfect. I'm looking at this part right now. And it looks like this gear right here was in incorrectly. So this one was going this way. Like that. And it's supposed to go this way. See that? So I think what was happening is the shift fork was over here instead of over here, and it wasn't shifting properly. And then this one goes, let's see, this was all correct over here. It's just that one that was off a little bit. So everything else was perfect on it. And then this one goes on. This one's got a washer like that. And then this one goes on like that. And then a washer like that. So that's all perfect now. So that one gear was off, so that's good. I think that was the problem. Alright, we got the engine, the case is back together. And I think what's happening now is shifts through the gears perfectly, but the shift shaft right here is either bent or the screw right there is either bent, because when it gets to like fourth gear, it gets a little bit sticky. And I'm leaning more towards the bolt in the middle holding the shift shaft mechanism right here on, because there's like space in between right there and right there. And as you turn it, it gets smaller and smaller. So I think this bolt right here is a little bit bent, but it shifts pretty good. We'll go through the gears here quick. See, there's 4th gear, a little bit sticky. 5th, 6th gear, right there. And that's all of them. So 5th, there, 4th is a little sticky, you can see right there. And then 3rd, 2nd, 1st, there's 1st, right there. And then neutral's right there. So it goes through the gears. What I might do is rebuild the engine here, and then I'm gonna leave this off and then maybe order that bolt right there. And it might get better as you add oil to it as well. Alright, we're going to leave the clutch side unfinished until we can get it on the bike, and then the stator side also, because the stator is actually on the bike right now. So what we're gonna do is get the base gasket on here and get the top end on. So we're gonna put a little silicone down on this base gasket here. Just a little bit. Using a brand new gasket. Gasket material right here. Get that off. Just so that's flush. Alright. Now we're going to get the base gasket on. Looks like it goes this way. Alright, let's see, there should be double pins right there. Alright, here are these. Get those in there. Pour a little bit down here. Lube up those bearings down there. This rod goes down in here. Alright. I'm ready to put the top on this. Surface looks good, everything looks good on it, so I think we're ready to install. Make sure the ring lines up with the notch. It's kind of nice only having one ring. That's really nice actually. Alright. You can see the power valve is right there. It just gets pinched in there like that. Alright, we'll get this thing bolted down and torqued down. Like we usually do. You can see the piston moves up and down freely. Looking pretty good. Let's get the head on next. There's O-ring gaskets for the head. So here are the two gaskets for this thing. Off here. Just put a dab of oil on this. That one's a little tight. It doesn't want to stay in. Just stretch her out a little bit. Alright, and then the head can go on. Here's the head. You can see a couple little nicks in the head, but nothing too bad. You've got your copper washers. Torque spec on the head nuts are 18 foot-pounds. The bottom ones are 23 foot-pounds, the cylinder nuts. Might be easier to do this on the bike. We'll get them pretty tight, but we'll torque them the rest of the way on the bike. It's too hard to get an accurate reading. Shave off the gasket material right there. Get the reeds in. Reeds look good. These are V-Force reeds. Carbon fiber. Alright, reeds are installed, looking good. Alright, let's get this thing in the bike and and all set up there because the stator is sitting right there. So once we get it in the bike, we can get the stator on and then start working on reassembling all the other stuff. We'll probably get the clutch all hooked up and everything, and we might just try it, put oil in it, and see if it shifts a lot better, because maybe it just needs oil to shift. Right, we're gonna grease up this swing arm bolt here. Before we reinstall that. Gas tank off here. All right, we finally got this engine in. It's really tight fit. Get the coolant lines on here. All right, now we gotta get this thing mounted up with the engine mounts. All right, we got the engine bolted down. Let's get the stator on. Next, this was just hanging right here. So it should fit right in there. There we go. And there's a little line down here. That line needs to line up with that line. All right. We'll see if the flywheel fits on there, and then we'll kind of know. All right, now the flywheel can go on. Let's see if she fits on there. Feels pretty smooth. All right, let's get that bolted down. Here's the nut for it. I'm curious to see if we've got spark now. Huh. We need to spin it a little bit faster than that. Oh yeah, good spark. So we've got spark. All right, let's get this carburetor on. Can here. All right, coming over to the right side of the bike, we've got the power valve cover coming up. This is going to go on here with the gasket, just like that. Alright, so of course I forgot to put the clutch on, so the clutch had to go right here, so I had to take the flywheel off and the stator off again to get the clutch in there, but that's working. So, alright, we got everything mocked up over on this side. The clutch basket has seen better days. You can see all the little indents in there. Usually that's from trying to do wheelies, typically, or just a worn clutch. Everything is where it needs to be now, and it does turn over nicely and everything. So we are waiting on the part that was bent for the shifter. So there's a bolt that goes into the shift drum. We have to order that up because I believe that was the culprit for fourth gear kind of being sticky. And then I'm going to ask him about what he wants to do with the clutch basket, because that's pretty bad. You can see how bad it is all the way around. So we'll potentially order up a new clutch basket and then that bolt, and that should take care of our problem with the fourth gear kind of being iffy. Every other gear is working perfect. First, second, third, fifth, and sixth gear work perfectly. But yeah, so the problem for the transmission was the one gear was switched around. So good thing we found that as well. So we just have to put this cover on, and that will complete the engine. And then the kickstart mechanism we need to put on as well. New spark plug, and then we can attempt to fire this thing up. We also have to get some 10W40 going in it and some coolant, and then we'll be able to attempt the first start on this thing. So stay tuned for that, guys. That'll come next video. First start, first ride, and we'll see if the shifting problem is fixed. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Hope the guys enjoyed this kind of video of diagnosing it and then putting it back together. It was a little bit tricky because I had to look through each part and try to figure out where each part went because I did not take apart the engine. A little bit more time consuming than usual, but we still got her done, and I think it's going to turn out pretty good. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Till next time, we are out.